Hey guys, Matt here from Spring Digital. Choosing the right product to develop for your startup is probably the most important step in the development process. If you develop a product that no one wants or that no one's prepared to pay for, then you're going to fail, no matter how well you execute it. Sure, you can tweak a product or the marketing strategy to make it more successful, but the less pivoting you have to do, the better. So, how do you avoid all this? It starts with idea validation. Just so you know, this is part 1 of our 6-part series on the software development lifecycle to help founders understand what's involved from start to finish. Tackling this first part is probably the most emotional for people because it establishes whether your idea will actually work or not. People get really passionate about their idea, but you're going to have to try to put all that passion aside if you want an honest answer to that question. Whether your idea will succeed depends on your ability to make a solid business decision based on business fundamentals, and that requires a deep and thorough analysis of your competitors and the overall industry. The best way for me to guide you on the idea validation phase is to show you how we do things here at Spring. There are 6 different areas we look at when we're evaluating new ideas for commercial software or app products. So let's dive into the first area. Are you actually solving a problem with your idea? Unfortunately, we see a lot of our clients come to us with this question unanswered. Remember, people use apps or software to solve problems. So if it's not going to do that, it's likely to fail from the start. We once had a client come to share their idea to have an app that shows certain ads to drivers when they enter a specific location. But what problem does that solve, and why on earth would someone download an app to get targeted by ads? It really isn't solving anything. But that doesn't mean their idea isn't valid, it just needs a little deeper thinking. For example, how about we create a local business app that gives member discounts, free offers, vouchers, and helps boost the local economy, whilst showcasing different exciting things to do in town. With some small tweaks, the idea found a whole new life. The second area we look at is how much would people be willing to pay for the product. We always emphasize the fact that business value isn't always about how much the app actually costs. Other factors influence the app's value, like audience reach, number of users, advertising revenue, and that's just scratching the surface. There's so much to consider. Then there's the ultimate strategy of being bought out by Microsoft, Facebook, or some other giant tech company. But of course, at some point, you're going to have to assess how much is your business making, and you have to have an answer to this. And now is the time to think about it. I always suggest looking at your potential competitors, basing your pricing off that. If you don't have any competitors, you can run some basic numbers. For example, if you multiply the number of users by the cost each user pays, you'll get the revenue for the paid app. Or if you multiply the number of users by the ad revenue per click times by about 2%, you'll get the revenue for the amount of advertising in the app. If you're looking at an e-commerce app, you'll need to multiply the number of sales by the commission or profit you get per sale, and you'll get the overall revenue amount. These basic foundational numbers should give you an idea of the different levels of users or number of sales you need to make in order to make sure this project makes financial sense. The next area is all about marketing your idea. In short, can you promote the product cost effectively? Here is where you ask yourself, how do you plan to reach your customer base? Are you going to use AdWords, SEO strategies, social media, or other methods? And can you do these cost effectively? For example, how much will each sale of AdWords cost you if you assume a 1% conversion rate? If it costs you $31 in advertising for each sale of a $30 product, you're not going to be in business for very long. But if you can cross-sell it to customers you already have a relationship with, that's a huge plus. The fourth area is about competition. What competition exists, what do they do, and what are you planning to do better? If there are lots of established competitors already, you're going to have a hard time getting notice. Personally, I wouldn't want to go into any market where I didn't have a reasonable shot of getting into. For example, I think it would be incredibly tough to succeed with yet another Uber or a file and backup application like Dropbox. On the other hand, if there's no competitors, that may mean that there's no market, so you need to watch out there too. Creating a new market is very tough, especially for a small company. Ideally, you want to find a market where there are profitable competitors, but where there's room for you to do a better job or something more in a meaningful way. Next, you need to ask yourself, how long will it take for you to create a minimum marketable product? And whether you have the time and cash flow and energy to reach version 1. In the startup or venture capital road, this is known as your runway. You need to divide the amount of money you have by your monthly expenses, including development. If the barrier is too high, you'll run out of runway space and never take off. And if the barrier is too low, there's too much space on the runway, and it'll be easy for someone to fly in and copy your idea if it's successful. So you need to give some serious consideration to how your finances correlate with how long it's going to take to get this new product off the ground. And then lastly, you need to think long and hard about whether you're just trying to scratch your own itch here. Unfortunately, I've seen too many prospective founders, business owners and startups think that because they want the product, everyone should want it. But if you're going to develop an app or software program and decide on certain features, it must be purely founded on deep business fundamentals, not just an itch. And by that, I mean you need to ask yourself if your product is going to create value for the user and it does it in a way that no one else does. Will they love it and want to keep using it? Does it truly improve their lives? If you answered yes to all those questions, then we're in. When we work with our clients at my company, Spring Digital, we spend a lot of time understanding the fundamentals of their idea quite early on in the discovery phase, so that you have some guidance as to what direction to head next. If you found this video valuable, make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel to learn more about bringing your app or software idea to life. That's it from me. This was part 1 of the software development lifecycle. See you in part 2.